Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Spawn Camp, where we're here
Did it.
doing things. We
Been a
have
hot minute.
returned.
Wow. It's been a hot minute since we've come to camp, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been weeks.
Life has been chaos. It's fine. We're fine. Speaking of, so we do have a plan for this
Yes,
episode, mostly pertaining to one document that you had found.
yes.
Should
So
we preamble
yeah,
this with?
yeah. One warning: strong language. It's us as normal, but also a lot of the strong language isn't us. Um, and then also, a warning: if you have ever played with like a shitty GM, caution, because this may bring back some stuff for you. Because that is what this is. It is a real fucky GM. So I guess let's jump right into it. So this actually goes to a post that came up on Reddit about 6 months ago. A player posted a notice that their GM had put this up in their group. And so they copied it over to Reddit, and a whole conversation spread from there. I recently came across it, took a copy and paste of the rules, and then color coded it based off of dialogue points that I have. So let's go through this. There are 44. First of all, if a GM comes to your group and is like, I'm instituting 44 new rules right now, no conversation, that's already a bad sign.
A little bit of a especially since it's a role play game, boo boo. I get it that like some people take it super serious and stuff like that, but also at the end of the day, you're supposed to be having fun.
Yeah. So first rule: I'm timing turns. I don't give a fuck if it's unfair in your opinion, because your spells are hard or you don't know what square to move to. You get 1 minute to know all the actions you want to take, or I skip your turn. That's a wild to start your new list of rules with. I don't give a fuck.
On top of the fact that there could be new players, who are very slow at learning the game, or people who have reading disabilities who will constantly mix up. Like, I'm dyslexic, my dude. I notoriously take forever on my turn.
And I shared this with a few people and talked to them about it in advance as well. Scott brought up a good point, which is the example he gives of spells, of spellcaster.
Mm-hmm.
She plays a lot of spellcasters, and something that I'm sure most people who play spellcasters can relate to is the idea of, okay, I've looked at my spells, and I thought a really good spell. I found it, and I know exactly how I want to use it. Oh no, the fighter went before me and kind of fucked up what I can do. So now, I need to do all of the planning that I had an entire round for on my turn live.
Immediately, right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Spellcasting in D&D, there's a lot of components that goes into it. It's, do I have the spell slots to wear? Yes, sweet, fantastic. Do I have a good enough vantage point to where I can get this spell off? Can I see them? Can I, or do I have, like, the verbal components to where they can fucking hear me? Or do they understand me if it needs to be understood? I play Bard a lot. A lot of my spells comes down to, do they understand me?
I would like to cast command. What languages do you know? Fuck! I would like to cast tongues, and then quicken spell command. No, actually, action surge command.
Action surge. Oh, are we? Damn. Okay.
Well, yeah, I just remembered in order to do 2 leveled spells, you'd have to action surge.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. So that brings it to a whole other thing of no, just no.
Which, I mean, yeah, say you build a character to do something wacky like that, you need the time to be able to think of that turn. So yeah, no, fuck this. That's stupid.
Which,
Rule
by
number
the
2.
way, no one
Yes.
can read. Yeah, no one can read on stream. No one can read the red ones.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, stop being bitches.
Okay.
Yeah. I will leave part red and unhighlight the rest. Live edits to the doc.
Ta-da!
There we go. Rule number 2. If you want harder fights, bring a second character sheet and expect to twiddle your thumbs when you fucking die. I'm not going to baby anyone.
Nani the fuck? It is
One-
your job as the DM to balance the fights to where it is a challenge for your players if they want a challenge. But also, you're not like aiming to fucking kill them.
Yeah. Also, like, the fights should pose a challenge to your players.
Mhm.
That should not be a shocking or like contestable fact. However, challenging to your players doesn't for all groups mean immediately lethal. Challenging for your players can just mean, wow, we sure spent a lot of resources in that fight.
It's okay. A quick callback. That boss that you took out before the actual boss in my fucking one shot.
Yes.
That was marked as lethal before I added in the other thing. I was like, I'll tone it back. I'll tone it back and see where it goes. I should not have toned it fucking back.
So to be fair, under the new 2024 rules, they did fully recalculate CR and the difficulty range of how CRs affect your combat. Because yeah, D&D 5e especially for a long time has had an issue where the CR was basically meaningless.
Yeah.
And if used any sort of CR difficulty calculator, it would always tell you that a fight would be lethal. And if it didn't say that, then your fight was going to be over and around.
Then this asshole in the fucking ceiling started taking pot shots at my goddamn boss.
Hey, you got a gunslinger in the party. You got to deal with it.
I know.
Hi, Tony. Welcome to chat. We're here to make fun of you exclusively.
Absolutely.
By the way, guys, the DM in question, totally Tony.
Mm-hmm. Totally. This is a secret post made by me. It's we're having an intervention live. It's fine.
So yeah, that rule. It sucks and is stupid. Rule number 3.
Mhm.
If you call me or my roles unfair, I will get up and go home. And if you got a ride with me, you can find your own way back and suck it up. Sounds like DM's a bitch.
That sounds like specifically targeted at one of the players.
Yeah.
It's like
which I know we're early into the doc, but I feel like God damn you, Tony. You know, Tony, no, you get to watch this live. Let's go to Reddit. Let's see what Reddit thinks a good dad joke is. Why does the Norwegian Navy put barcodes on their ships?
why?
So when they go into port, they can just Scandinavian.
Nope.
Boom. Yeah, that's what happens when you pull that shit on Spawn Camp, Tony.
For audio only listeners, we have a redeem called Dad Jokes on our Twitch Live, which we record this on. Tony just redeemed it like a bitch.
And so with the screen share that comes with our visual portion of the show, you got to watch me just Google dad jokes. Anyway, I know we're early in the doc, but having a 44 rule doc that just dropped like this, clearly the dude's going to be called unfair occasionally, or people are going to be upset about rulings.
Mhm.
So putting in this little crybaby rule of if you don't like what I say, I'm leaving.
Yeah,
That
no,
oh my gosh.
it definitely screams that Mans has major problem with not being apparently the god at the table, which me and you both know, just because we're DMs does not mean we are in control.
It's never.
The
um
players will throw fucking screwballs at you out of the fucking side of their I don't even fucking know what. And we just gotta deal with that shit.
yeah. The any DM who has this opinion of like my word is the law and the players will obey is either playing a very old-fashioned style of D&D with players who've been playing for a very long time
Mhm.
or does not know what running a group is going to be like.
100%.
So yeah, rule 3. It sucks. Rule number 4. I'm going to take your character's loot away as regularly as you want it given out. Rule 3, the one where you don't get to say that's unfair, will apply here.
Why are you giving them stuff if you're just gonna take it away from them?
What's the actual? I have the same issue with that mentality as the DMs that want to. Thank you. I just saw Tony's. You called me worse Grinch. Anyway, I have the same issue with that as I have with the DMs that want to take away a wizard's spell book in game.
Mm,
In terms of like permanently
yeah.
for a session or two as a story point, make a wizard find their book again. Sure, but like for the DMs that want to burn their wizard's spell book and make them learn it all anew, you're taking away a class specific feature of the character that breaks their character.
Mhm.
Or in this case, you've given your party really cool magic items they're probably very excited to use and to have, and then taking them.
Mhm. And
Why?
once again, you had to put them in the game for them to find.
Yeah.
Why put them in the game if you're just gonna take them away? Mm, That's you know how people asshole people's like go ahead and like tease dogs with pieces of food and then fucking eat it?
Yeah.
That. Just that. Like what the fuck?
There's no that is one of the early ones that just reads of like, I don't want to run for this table.
Yeah. Which in that case, do yourself and your players a favor and just fucking leave the group. Yeah, they'll have to figure out a new DM and you will have to find new players if you want to DM. But
Next is the first one I've marked as orange. If you don't act out any of your persuasion, intimidation, or any other social checks, you fail before you even roll. You fail immediately because you aren't even trying and you're making the game lame for everyone else. First point, this DM has no authority over what is and isn't lame, as most DMs don't, but this one in particular, because everything that this DM says is lame.
the fact that he's made 45 rules out of pettiness screams. But also this hits a little bit harder for at home for me because I
Oh,
love playing
shit.
bard characters. What?
You have to tag a person with that too, Tony. Tony, that worst Grinch comment was supposed to be an accent redeem.
Oh, did we not? Did we not require it to
I thought we did. We'll have to look
we'll
into
have to
that.
check that through. Minor inconvenience with some of our redeems on live audio listeners.
While Tony decides that it's going to be me.
I mean,
anyway, yeah.
so
You were saying.
I love playing bards. It's been my fuck.
It's you.
What's to do with the Grinch?
Yes.
I don't know the Grinch. I fucking. He's just an asshole. He just speaks like an asshole. What am I supposed to do with that? I fucking piggy.
Let me just set a 5-minute timer.
Don't know what to do with an accent. Whatever. I've now got to Google what the Grinch fucking sounds like. Because lo and behold, I hate Christmas movies. Like, I hate them so much.
Blood loves playing bards and charisma-based characters, which, like, fucking dope. They're in my top 3. The thing is, when you're playing you're looking up an accent to use. When you play a charisma character, they're likely going to have a charisma score of 17 or better. We, as real human peoples, if you want to look at D&D rules, are maybe going to have a charisma of 11. Because the number, like a 20 is supposed to be fucking high. So, I can't give a charisma score 20 level speech or like sing a song of that degree or anything like that. So no, I'm not going to be able to like do what my character would do. What I will caveat though, as a DM, is if a player goes, I want to roll to persuade the king to give me his crown and his kingdom, and that's all they say. Yeah, no, that's going to fail immediately. Don't worry about rolling. If your player though says, I'm going to give a really compelling like speech to the king about how his ruling style has really harmed his people, and it's threatening his own life because they're wanting to kill him because of it. And I want to go really into detail on the negative aspects of his rule as a king. Can I roll to get him to abdicate his power? Totally. That sounds dope. It's going to be a high check, but let's see where this goes. So absolutely, I think you can influence your ability to roll via what you convey to the DM, but you don't need to, in character, give a big speech or persuasion or something like that. I think that's what this rule should have been. Blood, you look prepared.
Sounds like a dude. He just talks. Unless, of course, you're talking specifically the Jim Carrey one. And then he just kind of like.
It does say worst Grinch, so sounds like we're going to hear you doing a really bad Jim Carrey for 5 minutes, starting now. Give us your take on this rule.
I like Bard. I like Bard. I can't talk.
You've disrupted the only talk-only show we have. I love it.
Honey, I hate you. You're the fucking worst. I don't need to be a vegan. I don't.
Moving on. I'll let you know when that timer goes off. Rule number this one. I started deleting rules, so the numbers don't matter anymore. If you don't pick up on cues for side quests, that's not my problem. Get over yourself. It's not a video game. It's a role-playing, pen and paper-based game with miniatures. I'm not holding your hand if you choose not to pursue shit. Wild. It is quite literally your job as the GM or DM to lay breadcrumbs for the party to find. And if they can't find... Tony's wife says that blood sounds like Jennifer Coolidge, and I'm here for it.
Thank
Um,
you, Tina.
it is quite literally your job to hold the party's hand in these sorts of things where you want them to find clues. If they're complaining about wanting more quest lines, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, they're totally there, you just didn't see them," that is a bad GM. What does our bad Grinch Jennifer Coolidge think?
Oh, I'm going to deny the accent redeem, so he gets that back. And we're not gonna do that this episode. I'm gonna turn that fucker off. It will get constantly denied. I need to be able to talk! This is a podcast, Tony!
On that note, as a back end note for us, what we could do is go through all of the shows and put a 5-minute countdown timer on the live screens that we can toggle. So when an accent comes up, it's just on the screen. Everybody can see the countdown.
Yeah, we'll do that. Love you, Tony. Love you, Tony, so much. But I need to be able to talk, and I can't. I don't know. First episode back. You can't send me into the fucking closet, man.
This is an out of the closet broadcast.
I've been panicking.
So yeah, the don't pick up on cues for side quests.
Oh yes, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, no. Again, going back to the thing I just fucking put out, I sent you guys a cool little glowy fox thing, and Tony didn't fucking follow it, so I sent it back the next morning.
I mean that is also a good point.
I will stretch.
Is if you as a DM want the party to pick up on something that they didn't pick up on, give it to them again. Or there's also the intersection of the like fallacy of choice. I'm trying to remember the actual phrase I'm looking for, but it's fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the party to end up at the castle to fight the king, and you give them an intersection of two roads, and you say that one path looks really decrepit, and it looks like nobody's been down this road in a very long time, and the trees are overgrown, and you can see the bushes and stuff are starting to encroach the pathway. And you give them the other path that says this road is heavily trodden on. You can see that there's actually people on it right now. People are constantly traveling back and forth on this. There's traders and all sorts of stuff. And the party goes, let's take the heavily traveled road. If that's the only setup that they have, and they don't know about the castle at the end, you still have the option to go, okay, cool, the castle is at the end of the heavily traveled road.
Mm-hmm.
And again, same setup, but the party says, let's take the creepy looking one. That sounds fun. They still don't know what's at the end of that road, so you still get to go, yeah, the castle's at the end of the creepy road. Like, if there's an important story beat you want the party to hit, put it at the end of the choices they make.
Yeah, absolutely.
The illusion of choice. That's what I was looking for.
There we go. Yeah. And again, it's kind of one of those things of it's hard to anticipate what a group of 3, 5, 6, however many players you have, people who are in a role play scenario, going outside of their usual norm, will decide to do, because more oftentimes than not, with my characters, I'm surprised by what I do whenever it comes down to it.
Yeah. I have totally had the thing of like, especially when I was a new player and I didn't know a lot of the tropes of being concerned when people would have issues with the term. That's what my character would do, because that's how I'd always played. Is well, that's what my character would do. I play based off of that.
Yeah.
In a healthy way, though.
Yeah, not with the negative connotations of
Yeah.
I'm doing something shitty. I know I'm doing something shitty, but my character would do it.
Yeah. Because I side quest versus important plot point though. Same thing though. Like if you know your party is looking for side quests to do, or you're in a bit of a space where you need a filler arc or anything like that, where you aren't going to force them down a specific path because there's not a specific story being told. You can still shove side quests in their face in that way. So instead of going to the castle to fight the king, same two roads thing, but along those two roads there are encounters that lead to side quests. There's a cart with a broken wheel that got attacked by bandits, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
You can put things in their way that are obvious enough tells that if they want to grab onto them, they can, and if they want to keep moving, they have that choice. But you can, in the same way that like video games, they put the exclamation mark or the big beam of light or something. They draw attention to where the quests are, the big ones and the little ones. You as the DM sometimes kind of need to do that.
Yeah. You have to put the actual like spotlight onto. This could potentially be a thing that you might want to do. You don't have to,
Mhm.
but here's a highlight. Take it, do what you would with it. Nothing? Cool. Sweet. We're
So,
moving on.
so
It's
you're
an
standing
option
in a
for
room.
later.
You're standing in a room, and there's two doors and a window. And the window's kind of boarded up, and one of the doors is really dusty. And one of the doors has an intricately carved portrait done in gold leaf of a figure that seems vaguely familiar to you. I want to go to the window. Yeah, the window looks pretty boring, but that door over there.
That door. I mean, outside the window, you see like a couple of birds flying by. There's like a tree or something.
But
Uh,
that door, the gold leaf is starting to peel in some places.
you
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 can
almost see it like moving a little.
You as the DM, you can pull attention however you need to. There
Yeah,
is no excuse for your party missing all of the opportunities and side quests.
and then you getting mad enough one to like yell at them for missing them,
Mhm.
or getting mad that they get mad that you don't fucking give them enough side things.
Yeah.
Like it is, I hate to say it's your job, but as the DM, you have taken on this responsibility to entertain. You are helping them tell a story.
Yeah.
You have to bring the components for them to piece the fucking story together. So, you know.
All right. If you move to a square in combat, there are no takebacks. This one's pretty simple and also, I think, pretty cut and dry. There are so many times when somebody puts a piece in the wrong space or they put down their spell template or something like that, and you go, "Oh, actually, no, that's not going to work there. I need to move it." And we tend to run into that less as a group because we're playing virtually, so it's a
Mhm,
lot easier to like fidget with stuff.
mhm.
But speaking of someone who plays at a very large in-person group on Monday nights, not everybody can even reach the table. So you're doing that thing of like, hey, can you move my piece over to there? No, no, not that spot. Square to the left.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
more.
yeah.
If you restrict it and go, no, no, you put the piece down, it's done. That is so awful.
On top of the fact that at a physical table, you can plot it in your head and like visualize it in your head, but once you're finally putting it on the board
Mhm.
or on the map or whatever you want to call it, that changes a lot of things because a lot of people cannot imagine exactly what is going to change on the board when you do the thing, because there
Yeah.
are plenty of people who don't have like that visual
Mhm.
imagination stuff, and that again calls back to just the different way that people's fucking brains work. On top
Yeah.
of the fact that this probably leads back to his whole you get a minute for a turn and that's it.
Mhm. Which
Why
you
are
will
you
see a
trying to
lot of these rules relate
how?
back to other ones. Uh, I do agree. Combat can run long. And if you're so concerned about long running combats at your table, one, use theater of the mind instead of maps and minis. Theater of the mind helps to speed up combat because you can kind of muddy the specific locations of things and
Mhm.
speed stuff along. And two, if combat is running too long at your table regularly and it's boring players, run less combat.
Yeah.
Like D&D is not a fight simulator. That's not what it is. It is a storytelling game. And sometimes the story is about the fights. Sometimes the story is more about everything else. And if your table is not happy playing the fights, play less fights.
Mhm. I mean,
And
heck,
I do get a little bit of that based off of the earlier one of them saying that the fights were boring.
yeah, yeah. It seems as though this DM, this GM, whatever the heck they are, um, very much is running a different kind of game than what most of the players want.
Mhm. And that is totally valid as like a situation. We have run into that internally.
Yes,
And the way you handle that is you go, hey, actually, the type of game I want to run is this. Can we more focus on this vibe or this aspect? Or, hey, the type of game I wanted to run is this, but it seems like you guys are taking it in this direction. Is that something you would prefer?
thing you want to go for. Yeah,
Uh, like the whole thing is communication between players and GM. It should
absolutely.
never be this point of antagonism because here's a secret: the GM is also a player.
They just like the back end of the screen rather than the front.
Yeah. So yeah, uh, not letting your players move back a space is stupid. Next is the next orange rule. Tell every person what you're doing before you do it. Don't fucking roll dice and then say you're casting fireball. You tell us all. Bad example.
I have to agree. You talk to the DM before you roll die.
Yeah.
That being said, the way he worded it
it,
seems a little antagonistic.
it comes off antagonistic. He gave a specifically bad example because
Yeah.
you, as a spellcaster, don't roll dice for fireball. You get other people to roll dice as saves. So if we just ignore that, yeah, it is the tone that's the issue with this rule. Because wholeheartedly, you as a player say, I would like to do X. And then DM goes, okay, roll dice. And then you say, my role is this. You never go, I rolled a nat 20 for persuasion. The king gives me his crown.
When did it become a part of the conversation? What do you mean?
Right?
Okay.
Uh,
The king
which
gives you his crown, but it's fucking fake.
that uh that I think is why so many people have issues with nat 20s on skill checks auto succeeding because there are players that will just roll dice randomly throughout the table and every now and then be like, "Oh, I rolled a this, so this happens."
Mm-hmm. No.
No. I say
I
nat
will.
20s on skill checks work because skill checks only happen when I ask for them.
Mm-hmm. And it comes back to a rule that I know you've said before in our conversations, where if you're having them roll the dice, it is possible, even if it's just the nat 20 that makes it possible.
Mhm. Yeah, the point of rolling the dice is to see if they can, or, whether or not they succeed, which means that there has to be a yes or no possibility.
Yes.
Even if it is just the one thing on there, you are telling them, hey, you're rolling the dice, you might succeed. So there's nothing more disappointing as a player than when prompted, rolling the d20, getting a nat 20, and then still failing. Because now you get this high of like, yeah, I did something really cool. And then the DM going, not good enough.
Not really. But no,
So,
this
yeah,
this rule has merit to it.
it's just written in bad
With
faith.
also with everything else in this list, it feels more like a jab of I have control of the story. You
Mhm.
don't. Which is not how D&D is supposed to run or any tabletop game, really. It's a
So
cooperative storytelling. I can talk.
I also have a specific gripe of tell every single person. Because there are things that are done at the table that are secret from the specific players.
Mhm.
The player doing an action and the DM are the only two people that always must know what's happening.
I've texted people
Hmm.
on Discord for hey, give me this role really quickly because you specifically, because of your backstory, might know some more about this, and I'll tell you more.
And in fact, behind the scenes on our Vampire the Masquerade series, where Tony was revealed to be a double agent the whole time, the reason why I was pausing so much on that, on the behind the scenes, and was like chatting to a player, I was talking to Tony because I needed to know what Tony and his lieutenants would be doing in response to the situation because he was constantly in communication with them.
Yeah.
So it was totally fair for me to want that information, but it would have been game breaking for me to go, "Hey Tony, because the party's decided this, what are you going to text your second in command to prevent the party from figuring out what's going on?"
Ta-da!
So this rule has a grain of like, yeah, that works, but it is just ruined by everything else going involved in it.
Yeah.
So
Bad
gone.
rule. Not good. Bad.
Uh, Next, I will give out exhaustion more frequently. Period. If you argue, go home, or you can actually fight me over it, or you can DM yourself. Um,
What are they earning the exhaustion for? Like, are you just handing it out willy fucking nilly? Like, because I understand if there's been already a set of rules for exhaustion. Like, personally, if you go over your spell limit, I will let you take exhaustion points for more spells.
I do like that.
Absolutely. Um, but but unless it's those specific things, why are you just handing out exhaustion?
Yeah, that's not something that comes up super often at most tables. Nor should it. Exhaustion is one
No.
of those things where your players have overexerted themselves. They're pushing themselves past the limit, and they're not resting. So this is the penalty they get for that. And that's not a punishment to the players, which is the vibe that a lot of these rules give me. It is a consequence of character action.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, that's just dumb. And then you can go home or fight me or be your own DM. Wow.
Why are we getting physical, my dude? Like, what little dick energy are you giving out?
You don't like my rules? Let's go outside about it.
Catch me outside.
Why are you hanging out with his people? I don't think there's a lot more on that one. Don't give out exhaustion as a punishment.
No.
Every snide comment you make to an NPC will be remembered and paid back in triplicate. You all seem to believe there's no consequences. Um,
Yes and no, but also like triplicate.
well, and every DM runs into that thing of, oh yeah, this character's name is Pervon. Oh, his name is Pervon? It's Pervon. Is he a perv? Is he getting his perv on? God
That
damn.
that name that you wrote down and was really cool until you said it out loud in front of your players.
Which Matt Mercer has said 1,000 times and definitely listened to. When you're naming NPCs,
Say
say
that
them
shit out
out
loud.
loud a few times, maybe in different voices, because your party's going to pick up on what you missed.
Uh-huh.
But also, when you miss it and your party picks up on it and they have fun with the thing, they're enjoying it. They're having fun. Let them. Don't have the NPC then go, "You've called me Pervon. I'm gonna murder all of your mothers." What?
Oh, lordy.
Specifically stating there's going to be payback for player action is a declaration of DM versus player. And there is not a healthy table of D&D 5e that is run DM versus player.
Not a long-standing one. It could be like a one-shot of, okay, I'm trying to kick your guys' asses. But it has to, one, be discussed before time, and two, there has to be an after where you guys discuss it.
Yeah. And in that same sort of thing of the exception to any and every rule in D&D or tabletop gaming in general is the one shot, because you tend to get away with more stuff and they can have wilder ideas.
Yeah.
But in terms of long running tables, your party's going to make jokes about things. They're going to make fun of people. They're going to rob people. They might even kill some random NPCs every now and then.
Murder
That
hobos
is
are a
not
thing for a
them.
reason.
That is not a thing that is inherently on its own game breaking and therefore should not be punished. That is players playing the game.
Yeah. No, it's hard going through this list knowing that there's a table out there, or was a table out there, that was living in this situation, that their GM apparently is openly hostile towards them.
Willing to get physically violent over this game.
That
Um,
screams
yeah.
sports dude bros.
Moving on to the next orange rule, because we're hitting some deep red here in a second. You will not be given a mega dungeon every session. A temple is not the size of a small city, and neither is a cave. This shit will happen when it's natural and organic. Go play some roguelike if you like that. Honestly, if it weren't for the tone,
Again,
yeah,
it's the tone for this one.
because totally. I at my personal like physical home game, I do run really big maps. But it's because I own really big maps and I want my players to be able to really stretch their legs.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spend 3 hours drawing a super intricate map that's going to take the party 20 hours to get through every single session. Because I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time to run that. And when you do make super intricate maps of that size, they don't ever go to all of it.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be like a 4-room thing. They're going to go in, they're going to kill the bad guys, they're going to loot the 4 rooms, and they're going to leave. And that's all
Absolutely,
they
yeah.
need.
Yeah, because I mean, fuck, look at I keep going back to the session, the one, the not one shot, but the little mini
Yeah.
series I ran for y'all. Because that's the common experience you have of my DMing skills. All of those maps were generated within one little program, and then you put into Roll20. None of which were super huge. I mean, like, legitimately, I used the same map twice in a row because I didn't expect you guys to go off into the woods trying to find, you know, fucking more things to murder.
We're bloodthirsty.
You were running after fucking weeping angels.
They should have died like bitches. So yeah, that one, it's an easy, you're almost there, bud.
Yeah, the tone here gives just too much of a negative for it to be okay.
Yeah. The travel portion is done. You want to travel the continents doing literally whatever you want? Go play World of Warcraft or play D&D with AI. First of all, that second one actually sounds kind of fun, and I might do that as a bit on
D&D
stream.
with AI.
Yeah, play D&D with ChatGPT as the DM. That
I guess, but I
that
kind
could
of
kind
hate
of
it.
be a funny thing.
Kind of hate it though.
Tune in, see what happens on my channel.
Uh
But in the meantime, if the travel portion is done, the more my players play, the more of the world they get to go to whenever they want,
Hmm.
which is how it should be. Low level characters can go a little bit, and then that's the end of their world knowledge and money, so they stop traveling.
Uh-huh.
High level characters have explored the world and can therefore go throughout the world to do what they need to do.
Yeah, no, I won't ever get the mindset of you're stuck in this little box that I've given you. There's nothing outside of this box. No, bitch. I have made an entire world of rough ideas, and when you go to them, they will be more fleshed out.
Mhm.
Um,
My world is jelly. When you walk there, it hardens.
hell yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
Honestly, even from a DM perspective, this is just boring. Because 6 sessions into running the same place, I'm gonna have the entire thing fully fleshed out. And then creatively, I'm not doing anything. I
yeah.
have all of the NPCs and shops and quests and everything done. So now I'm just narrating it to you. I'm not playing the game anymore. I'm just reading off my notes. And you guys are going through the motions. If you want to travel and go see this other continent and see what their problems are and save a few villagers, that do it. Go explore the world and have a good time.
And I will never. The thing that gets me with this rule specifically is it feels like he doesn't want to do the in between travel, which is where like half of the fun is,
Mhm.
personally. I like throwing fucking side balls at my players when they're on the goddamn road that gets them dragged off to some other artifact or like place that I've made up spur of the fucking moment, being like, hey, come look at the thing I made.
Which
Look.
he does have a rule later that has to do with random encounters. And I agree. I think the pair of those rules will kind of loop together in the vein of I don't want to deal with that shit. Stay put.
Icky, icky, icky.
these these next two rules really play well with each other, so I'm going to read them together. First, if you're late with no good reason, I'm going to have your character's hit points for the entire session. And second, if you don't show up for no good reason, great grammar, that will be determined by me alone. And no one else has the guts to say shit for fear of upsetting one another. The first time you'll find yourself losing either a whole level or up to 3 major items. The second time you do it in a row, you'll be removed from chat and from the group full stop. I have no fucking time for people not to show up.
So, ew. One, two. Unexpected things happen all the time, and if obviously you are confrontational with these people, why the fuck are they going to tell you personal things?
Yeah.
Three, I literally had to pull out of my Saturday session yesterday because I had a fucking migraine from hell because of a panic attack. I wasn't exactly going to explain that to everybody, but the thought was understood. Tony can attest that I was like, guys, I'm gonna have to pull out. I am feeling like shit. That should be all I needed. Ew. Just ew. I and again, this is a fucking role play game.
Yeah. Well, and first of all, who are you to decide what is and isn't a good enough reason to be late or miss a game? As a group, absolutely have those discussions. You know, that kind of that's not good enough. We need you to tell us sooner. Absolutely. But for you to just be the arbiter of what is acceptable is bullshit. And then beyond that, again, taking away items, that fucking sucks. Taking away levels, that's not even a thing in this edition.
Yeah. That
Negative level points stopped being a thing in third edition because It's not fun. People don't want to come to this game where the whole point is to level up and get new powers and abilities and have fun with their friends, to be told that they no longer have access to a thing.
Yeah. No,
So
it's
it's gross and dumb. Also, so many of these rules end with, and if you don't like it, I'll leave. How are you not wasting their time in that situation? But them
right.
missing a session is wasting your time. What DM isn't prepared to handle a player absence? I've got a doc that is 101 excuses for player absence. It's sorted by class.
That's amazing.
I'll share it with you guys sometime. But
That's
yeah, like it is,
amazing.
again, this is just an example of bad DMing skills.
Absolutely. And what's even worse is it's once again a show of how antagonistic this guy is towards their players.
Yeah.
Like how how uh, in your own fucking head do you have to be like, you've missed a session with me, your DM, so I'm going to punish you for the next time you show up. I
Yeah.
just not show up
If
again.
and then, oh yeah, you weren't happy with that with the consequences of you missing the last session. You're done with this group.
Mm-hmm. Ew.
All right, now we're going to the only two green rules in the entire doc. First, if you get too stoned or drunk to play, I will go home without warning. Your warning is here. And yeah, honestly, that's probably gonna end up in my rules as written. I'm happy with the tone on that because I find that very frustrating.
No, absolutely. Because if knowing from myself how I get when I get too inebriated, that is not a place that I should be while
Mm,
we're trying to tell a story and play a game. If that is already like the vibe that has been set
mm,
for that
yeah,
session, absolutely get drunk, get fucked up. We're not actually playing anymore. We're just
and,
goofing around.
and that is a specific that's a very specific and important difference.
Mhm.
If the table is said, "Hey, we're okay with getting drunk or getting high," or you're running a one shot and we're okay with getting drunk or getting high, or
Or it's part of the
anything
gimmick.
like that, yeah. Or we had actually talked for the 420 episode of the One Shot Wonderarium about doing it stoned, and then we thought about what that would mean. And we didn't because streaming stoned is harder than playing stoned, and playing stoned is hard. So, like, yeah, there are totally legitimate reasons for it. However, for a long running game at my table,
Mhm.
no. I've had players that were incredibly, no fault on their own in terms of like intent, but were incredibly disruptive and derailed entire sessions.
Mhm.
That is the one thing in this entire doc that I fully agree is you're genuinely wasting my time as a DM.
Not to mention the fact that the person who is getting that inebriated is wasting the other player's time as well, because they could be wanting to like hit the story beats and find more of the story and develop more in this little thing that we're
Mhm.
building here. And you off in the corner screaming, "I'm having such a good time!"
Yeah, exactly. And the second one, the last greenlit rule on here, is in the same vein, but I'd like to build from it.
Mhm.
It's if you get it for bong or smoke or whatever break every 10 minutes, I will simply pack up and go home. I'm sick of waiting for every bloke to be at the table. And yeah, same thing of like if I've dedicated 3 hours of my time with you, I've probably dedicated at least that much of my time outside of this group to
Mhm.
prepare for this. And if you can't give me those 3 hours for us to play this game, and it is that significantly important for you to go and do a smoke break every 5 minutes, or go do this, or go do that, yeah, that's going to be really frustrating in the short term, disheartening in the long term, and I'm going to quit the table.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just from the games that I am in, we get to meet so very infrequently that I
Mhm.
want to spend the entire time that we actually have allocated playing playing.
Yeah.
I understand like stepping away for okay, I need to go grab another drink because like I'm really
Yeah.
dehydrated today. So I gotta go. Or
IO breaks are not only reasonable, they're totally expected and should happen.
exactly.
And
But
also, if there's other stuff going on, like, oh, actually, I've got a family member or a friend or whatever who's at the ER, so they're going to be texting me throughout. I may step away to take calls. Fucking do it. If you
yeah,
have something that's less serious than that, but you're just trying to keep track of a situation, yeah, that's fine. But in terms of like, I'm playing a
stepping
game,
away to like
but I'm going
I
to
have
go do this other activity.
I have, and I'm about to reveal a little bit of lore about myself in my room, which is basically a studio apartment that I'm renting out. I have a table that has a dab rig and my pipes and all of that stuff out there. If I were to ever fucking just decide I'm kind of feeling like taking a hit and go out there, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like I specifically have it out there because it's easy access. I have a lock on my fucking door.
Mhm.
But to take time out of, again, a time that I have allocated for other people for the game to go get high, why would you do that? You're losing one precious story time. Two, as the DM, I will continue going even if you're gone. And if you're gone, you will have to figure out what's going on when you get back.
Yeah.
Personally, and if it keeps happening where people have to like catch you up, I will leave or you will leave. One of these two things.
Mhm. So let's depart from this moment of happiness to go to a hard red rule: guidance, divination spells, owls, and whatever spells I decide are too fucking stupid are banned outright. No more fucking guidance. Wow.
No more guidance. Again,
No more fucking guidance.
a spell that is specifically in the what?
I I have always had issue with the DMs that are like, "Oh, this official content that's a part of the player's handbook, I
Huh?
don't like it, so I don't allow it."
And even if that's to a point that you want to introduce to your table, you need to discuss with them first and
Mhm,
make sure that's okay with the majority
mhm.
because it is a core point of the game. Like,
Just, also, leaving it so vague and whatever spells.
yeah, meaning that if you
If you do have such a serious issue with certain spells, make a list. Make a list and post it and be like, hey guys, I don't really like these spells. I feel like they derail from the game or they sidetrack us or they do whatever it is that's causing you an issue.
Mhm.
Go, hey guys, these aren't working for me and I really prefer we don't use them at the table.
Yeah.
And preferably do that around the time of character creation or level ups when people are picking their spells.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah.
this DM doesn't give me the vibe of on retroactively banning the spell, so if you have it on your list, you can swap it. This DM gives me the vibe of, oh, I've retroactively banned the spell and you have it on your list. You're an idiot.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do give that vibe, don't they?
uh, I'm not deleting this one yet because we'll come back.
We'll come
You
back.
get one chance at a skill check. If you fuck up, your party doesn't get their chance to do the same check. Think careful who's good at what. I
Uh,
marked this one yellow. It's one of the only yellows because the tone is really off putting, but the rule is almost very solid.
almost.
Um, I wouldn't say it quite like that. what I do at my tables is in most situations where other people can try and like chime in on it. I'll be like, okay, I need you to roll this, and anybody else who's interested, go ahead. Or if it's something that only would affect a few people, I'm going to go, I need you to roll this. Also, if you two would like, you can as well.
Yeah.
But if it's only one person, then I'll announce for that one person. The exception that I mentioned to you when we previously talked about this, and that I still think is a really good one, is say you have two characters in the party that have proficiency with thieves' tools, and there's a locked door, and one of them rolls and they fail, and the other one goes, "Oh, actually, I also have proficiency with thieves' tools, and I was watching him do it. Would it be okay if, like, I think I know where they messed up, and I can try again after them?" And then you can give them disadvantage on the roll because the previous one.
Oh, we're
Um,
loading Dean on Twitter.
no, don't do that.
Circle of
Stream. We're gonna
Death.
watch stream for a second.
Circle of Death.
Don't do that. Uh, uh
You know, it's not an R for R show unless
unless we
something
have technical
goes
issues.
wrong. Still
Nice.
not back yet, is it?
Uh, not that I can
No, it's
see.
still
No.
Circle of Doom.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh no.
My back end says we're still live, so the recording's still going.
Okay,
Uh,
well, if up, it just went. It just went. It just went.
I'm showing that we've got an ad.
It's good on my end, but I'm also in mod view, so.
Okay, beautiful. Cool. Anyway,
Anyway,
but then that second person that has the thieves tools proficiency wants to roll because they have a story reason for that to work.
Mhm.
Absolutely. If we can weave it into the narrative without being disruptive, let's go for it.
I will sprinkle on top of that. If someone fails a check that you can think of an in-story way you can assist them after the fact, I will allow you to roll that check and see if what you have adds into what they have
Mhm.
by like a point system that I have in my head basically. It's very convoluted, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see if you can like save that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's totally good reasons why you should make exceptions to this rule.
Mhm.
But generally speaking, I think this is a pretty sound rule.
Yeah, no,
This
absolutely.
last line is an important part of it. Think careful about who's good at what. Let's see why I might have wanted to save the previous rule and move on to the next one. Discussion of metagame details in game will result in instant damage to your character. So hold on a second.
Know who's better at
Players,
what, but you're not allowed to metagame and know who's better at what.
yeah. So people can't discuss what they want to do beforehand because that's metagaming.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody at the table should know what everybody's good at.
Uh-huh.
But you can't use guidance to improve your ability to do it.
Uh-huh.
What?
Mhm.
These three rules are in direct conflict with each other.
Except if he wants them to fail always.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Now I haven't marked red, and I do stand firm that I think this one's outright a bad rule.
Yeah.
It does touch on an important conversation that needs to be had, which is the idea of metagaming at tables and how you want to interact with that.
Not a pigeon.
So if one of your players goes, "Oh, guys, we're fighting a red dragon, so don't use any fire attacks,"
You don't know
just
that.
randomly. Yeah, your character probably doesn't know that. Now, if your character goes, "Oh, guys, we're playing an elemental creature. We should think about how that's going to play."
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fine. It's the exact same thing, but it's different, and importantly so, I think.
It's
Um,
different enough that it can fit into character. Because
and then
saying, "Oh, it's a red dragon."
yeah,
What?
when I do also play with tables usually of very new players,
Yeah.
and so in those situations, it's also different for a more experienced player to go, "Oh, by the way, guys, don't forget that we know at this point we're fighting a red dragon, and that a lot of the stuff they do is fire based. So keep that in mind." Like those sorts of guiding things where
Yeah.
you're encouraging people to think about stuff, sure. And then things that are done in character with character knowledge, sure. It is when it is an explicit, "Hey guys, this is the stats of the rules, and here's how we can use them." That's when it gets a little gross.
Mhm.
All right.
Especially when, specifically, I think of, this one player I had before I had joined, R4R and all that stuff, and we
Mm,
had done all of this. I had a character who had very routinely used only fire spells. Like, that was their whole fucking gimmick, was they
mm.
are firebug. Loved fire, burned everything. And I put them against a whole bunch of fucking fire things because I was like, tee hee. And they were like, well, I'm gonna go hide in a corner because I know I will not be able to do anything. I'm just like, No, no. Your firebug doesn't fucking know that. Your firebug just sees fire and goes more fire.
Yeah. And in fact, there are even anime things where something's been like, "I'm fireproof, you can't burn me." And then the protagonist goes, "What if I make my fire hotter than you can handle?" So, like, a pyromancer in universe might have that same mentality of, "Oh,
Uh,
you think you're fireproof, you just haven't had my fire yet."
uh-huh.
One. And two, as a player thing, I've wanted to play some sort of elemental mancer of some type. And every time I have that thought, the one thing I always do is go, "But not fire." Because I do know at the character creation stage where metagaming is, I think, very much encourageable, you
Oh yeah,
should think
absolutely.
about the game you're going to play. If I want to
Fire
make
is one
someone
of
that
the
plays with elements, everything resists fire.
fire is one of the biggest things that is
Mhm.
resisted. Um, which was fucking hilarious playing with this character because like half the time I was halving their fucking damage. It was great.
So do a cryomancer. That's dope. Or
Mhm.
lightning, or something like that. And also with some of the newer rules that have come out in the last 5-6 years, that's even easier. So the scribe wizard and any sorcerer, and there's another one that I can't remember. All have features to allow you to change the element of a spell from one thing to another.
Uh-huh.
And I also know a lot of DMs, myself included, will just allow a player to do that if it fits the thing of their character.
Oh, absolutely.
I think a fireball being flavored as an ice ball is dope. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
Magic is magic
metagaming
for
can be a problem, but as with all of these other things we've talked about, there are ways and times to do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
And the fact that these 3 rules actively work to make the game harder for these characters
mhm,
and these players to the point of almost unplayable.
yeah. Well, it's a good thing they have such limitations on how they can interact with the rules because rules lawyering fellow players is encouraged. Unactualing me will just result in me telling you to fuck off. So not only is this encouraging DM versus player, this is encouraging player
Player.
versus player. You can
Ew.
call out the other players for rules mistakes, but not me.
Ew.
My first question is, what if you, the DM, make a mistake with one of these rules? Do I get to call it out then?
Yeah, but you're always confrontational. No, I this is just icky.
It is.
It's
First of
just
all, rules
icky.
lawyering in general is gross.
Mhm.
Um, if you ever have an issue with a ruling at a table, you can make note of it in the moment. Be like, "Hey, I- I'm iffy on that one," and then let's loop back to it after the game.
Yeah.
In game, the only time I will ever, as a player, bring up rules as written, it is when I think a player is missing out on something. So in my Monday night game, again, we've got a lot of new players, and also a lot of us are switching to the 2024 rule set. So every now and then people miss things. Our barbarian is playing a Goliath, so his strength score, or his carrying capacity and stuff is doubled, and he has advantage on strength checks outside of rage because of being a Goliath.
Yeah.
And the DM called for a strength check, and he failed. And I was like, "Oh, actually, check your stats. I think you might have advantage on that." And the DM was like, "Yeah, I think they're right. Go ahead and look into that." In those situations, technically, what I'm doing is rules lawyering. I'm
That's
actually the table,
also
but I'm doing it to make sure the player can have fun and get to do the thing that their character's built to do.
absolutely.
I would never go, "Oh, your character actually can't roll that attack in that way because that's a fighter only ability." Because you know what? They did that because it's fucking dope, and the DM said yes. So let the dope thing happen.
Yeah, no. I will say another point in which rules lawyering or something like that would come into play is like myth maybe confusion on how a rule might play
Yeah.
out, or like we've done this live while we're
Mhm.
playing some of the new games where we go back to the document going, so it says rules as written this, so I think it means kind of this.
Mhm. And anytime it's a discussion at the table, that absolutely falls into the category of like, okay, let's work this out.
Yeah.
Uh, but once a ruling is officially made,
Yeah.
in terms of the way I run games, rulings made. We can discuss it before or after the game, but during play, it is what it is. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The next one. Roll your dice within view of two players who aren't your standard. You roll them neatly and you roll them on the table. Failing to do these three things will auto fail whatever roll you did. Arguing that you actually rolled validly when you clearly didn't is an automatic crit fail. So, breaking this down into parts, the first piece of that rule is you have to roll in view of two players that aren't your standard. That's weird wording. I think what they're getting at is two people that you're not super close with. So
Yeah.
if you happen to play D&D with your SO, you can't roll next to them because
Yeah.
they will agree with you. The
Unless,
second,
of course, your SO is actually a good SO and they will
right?
call you on your bullshit.
The second two parts are roll them neatly and roll them on the table. I don't know what rolling neatly means. And yeah, everybody tries to roll on the table generally. Nobody's
I
trying to
do
get it on the
lose my
floor.
dice every once in a while, but yeah, no, the aim is the table.
Yeah, and you tend to re-roll. Failing to do these three things will auto fail. Arguing that you did these things when you didn't will auto crit fail. Bullshit. Now, the vibe that this rule gives me is that the DM uh, has dealt with or suspects that they've been
Roll
dealing with
quick.
players cheating or
Mhm.
fudging their rolls. And instead of having this really aggressive, overly complicated rule, what I would do in that situation is one, talk to the player that I think is doing it. And be like, hey, a lot of your rolls kind of seem a little sus. Is it okay if we do this? Or two, if you think it's the whole table, put a dice tray in the middle of the table and go, hey guys, let's roll right here.
Yep.
That's it.
That's that's a real quick, easy way in case you think someone is trying to game the system or literally cheating. Everyone is now on an even playing field. We roll right here.
And if it gets so bad, put your own set of dice in the tray. dice you trust in a tray that's open played. Hey guys, let's roll these dice in this tray. I personally can't even see myself being at a table where that would be necessary. But I do also understand that there are a lot of groups that they play in that group because it's the only group they have to play with, so they have to be willing to accept more bullshittery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the most aggressive you can get with a dice rule. Once you start going beyond that, again, you're overcomplicating rules and you're making it less fun for the people at the table.
Including yourself at that point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-mm.
Instant death traps and mechanics are coming into place. If you call these things unfair, I will laugh at you and tell you to fuck off and cry some more. Instant
Ew.
death traps haven't been a thing in Dungeons and Dragons since 2nd edition for a goddamn reason.
Yeah. Instant death traps means it is inescapable. There is nothing you can do to stop it. Which is
There's
not a thing.
Yeah. There's a
Because
single exception where they do exist, and it's when they ported Tomb of Horrors from 2nd edition to 5th. And it still has a couple of instant death traps. And the only thing I've ever heard from people that have played that is they sucked. The death traps, not they the players.
Yeah.
If you go, oh, I'm going to walk through this hallway and I'm going to beat down the door, and then the player goes, oh, or the GM goes, aha, you set off a trap and now you're dead. Oh yeah, wasn't that fun? If you say I'm gonna storm down this hallway and beat down this door, and the DM goes, you take a step, and then you hear a click, and then you start to hear gears turning in the walls. You now have an opportunity to respond, or you step on a pressure plate. I need you to make a save. You now have an idea as to what's coming. You get to still interact with the world, even though you're now dealing with consequences of being not careful, is what I can assume in good faith is what the DM is talking about, that players are being not careful.
There's also going back to my own toxic table that I played in before. So the DM had this thing where he would say click and then call for a save or ask you which way you're going after you hear this click or what you're doing after you hear this click. And that you would react based on what you were doing. Like I can't remember any of the exact moments, mostly because I blocked out most of this fucking campaign. uh if I remember correctly, I was walking through a door in this like dungeon like area that had once been fucking body horror hell. He said click as I went through the door, and my instant reaction was, okay, something's probably coming at me from above or the side. I'm gonna dodge forward. And so he made me roll for that. I can see situations like that being okay, using that kind of logic. Even still, giving me no actual idea of where the danger is coming from,
Right.
which my character would not know. Just a simple word click, what are you doing?
And the important thing is that second part of what do you do? Letting you know that you've done something bad and there's about to be a consequence. Here's your opportunity to respond.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even like there are times where death absolutely should happen to a character and should be permanent, but it should always be in a way that the player has an opportunity to try and avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
The only time where there should be an instant death that is unavoidable is if it has been pre-discussed with the DM and the player. because that player is either leaving the game or they want to try a new character, whatever reason. So that's a sneeze.
Oh no.
I had a character that I ran years ago that was really cool, and I had fun for a while. But then I kind of played out his story in our campaign,
Okay.
and I had reached a point where I didn't see what else that player could gain. And I had some other ideas that I want to try out. So I was like, "Hey DM, is it okay?" Because our party hasn't had any deaths yet, and we're
Can I
going
be the
through
death?
these really intense things. Uh, can you kill off my character and I'll make a new one? Here's my new character concept. And the DM was like, "Yeah, that sounds really cool. We'll do that."
Ooh.
But that was the end of the discussion. We met for 2 more sessions after that before anything came of it. So at this point, it's out of my mind. I'm not even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing a fighter. I was playing a half orc fighter. So I'm this really big, burly guy. I'm the party tank.
Yeah.
And we got to this new city, and there's a coliseum, and they're doing open calls for fights, and they're betting. Well, we're already really wealthy, and so we're like, oh, if my character gets enrolled, we know I have a really strong chance of winning any of these one-on-ones. So let's all bet our money on me and coming out of this even richer. I was playing a samurai fighter, and so any fight that went quickly enough really worked out in my favor because I could just grant myself advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we go in, we roll initiative. The I get to do my turn, and then the DM starts going, and he narrates how I like seriously damaged the other fighter. Things are going my way, and then a portal opens up behind that other fighter, and a blade comes through and decapitates that fighter. And then a person walks through the portal and approaches me, and then decapitates me. That was an instant death. I had no
Yep.
opportunity to respond or react. Everybody at the table was like, "What the fuck is going on? What do we do now?" And it was amazing because I asked for it.
Yeah. Oh, but that is an awesome story. I love that. But yeah,
It
no,
was dope.
death,
We
death trap.
lost so much gold.
We were so broke.
I think we had like 5,000 gold riding on that.
Oh shit.
I will not give you random magical items, and vendors will not stock them. They are not meant to be, or they are meant to be rare and hard to acquire.
If only there was a system for allocating how rare and common those fucking magical items are. Oh wait.
Let's just let's just leave this dock real quick and go to
D&D Beyond.
magic items.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Oh,
Rarity. Mm.
neat. Well, they're all meant to be rare, so let's go to uncommon and just let's just see what happens. Oh shit! There's a bit that are they're less than rare. Okay, well let's go. Uncommon might still be rare, so let's go common.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's gonna come up here. Oh, oh shit! There's like multiple
There's
pages.
like a lot of stuff there, huh?
Wow.
Ugh.
Well, that's fine. Vendors wouldn't stock them because they're
They
so
don't
rare
have
and hard to find.
allocated fucking prices. No.
Yeah, all of these are. I'm not signed in, is what it is. I'll deal with that later. Vendors wouldn't stock them because they have no way of knowing how to price. Oh wait, actually no. The DMG actually does have a guide for pricing things based off of rarity of magic.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so this rule is just stupid then.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
There's no defense. There is
There's
no defense of that one.
there's also like basically no conversation can be had. He's just wrong.
Yeah.
They are meant to be rare. Doesn't
Not
mean
death
anything.
ish, but not all.
Earlier, I mentioned random encounter rule. Here it is: random encounters in the form of dragons, strange, mysterious road traders, or a band of goblin prostitutes isn't going to happen. Go play Baldur's Gate 3. First of all, we're playing, you and I, in a group game of Baldur's Gate 3. How many times have you found goblin prostitutes?
I don't know, but I'm feeling like we're missing out.
We need to find that.
Yeah.
But diverging from that, random encounters with dragons, random traders, and prostitutes. Two of those three, sure, I'd be fine with that in my game within reason. Who's using a dragon for a random encounter?
I mean, technically me,
That
but he was
wasn't a
nice.
random encounter. That we went to that.
No, so if you guys had wandered off too far, I was gonna have him come to you.
That's still like that's plot related. That's fine. Goblin prostitutes is incredibly specific. That's not something you just think of as a random D&D example. That's something that happened to this guy's table. And fun fact, bands of roving NPCs are not something the players create. So that is something you, the DM, put in the game and are not happy with how your party interacted with it. And then mysterious wandering traders, there's no fucking reason to not have them.
Mm-hmm.
They're delightful, and you can do all kinds of chaos with it.
And nice plot hook if you want it.
So, like, the three examples they give are just bad. And the idea of random encounters won't be happening anymore is also stupid. So your party has complained they're missing out on side quests. You're making it too difficult for them to do the main quest, and now they also don't get random encounters. What are your players supposed to do in a session?
Which most of my side quests are random encounters that I think of
Yeah.
on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't understand what this DM wants their players to do, apparently, other than die.
I don't know.
Moving on. Let's see.
This is another one of those, the tone is ick, right?
Yeah. So both of these together, I think, work really well. And to read them word for word first, I don't give two fucks what Reddit said about X or Y ruling. And the second one is, I actually give less of a fuck about what your mates and their friends group did. To summarize that, what this DM is saying is what happened at other tables will not influence what happens at this table. And that's a solid rule.
That's fair. Yeah.
What I rule live in the game is how we're going to play it.
Mm-hmm.
That said, if you came across a really interesting spell interaction on Reddit and you want to try it out in game, but it's also kind of iffy, talk to me before we play. Say, hey, I saw that if you do this sequence of things, it could be ruled this way. How would you feel about that? And then I might go, I don't know, it seems busted. But I might also go, oh, that seems like a really cool interaction. Let's mess around with that and see what happens.
Yeah. And even if it does seem busted, I could potentially be convinced to allow it in the game if you pass a series of roll beyond just spell, you know? You're gonna have to work for that shit, bro.
A really great example of one that I've recently brought up as a neat thing is a thing that I've heard referred to as the Eldritch Eraser. And that is where a warlock will cast Hunger of Hadar, where you create an area of effect that sits on the ground and causes damage whenever a character moves through it.
Yeah.
And then they will also use Eldritch Blast with Repelling Blast to push a character through that Hunger of Hadar. And then they'll also use Eldritch Blast with Arms of Hadar or whatever it is to pull them forward. So on your turn, you use your multiple beams to push them back and pull them forward and push them back and pull them forward, causing the damage from the Eldritch Blast, which has no saves on those movement effects, and the damage of crossing that terrain multiple times. That is super cool.
And that is rules as written, how it's supposed to go. Like there's no real conversation to be had about that. That is 100% how it's supposed to work.
But also, most players aren't going to think of that on their own.
Oh no, absolutely.
They will have come across that video or something similar talking about that idea. And honestly, the first time or two, dope. Let's do that unexplained. However, if that becomes like your main strategy, I might start to discuss, hey, let's possibly think about putting a strength check on those moves, on those attacks. because it is getting a little challenging for me to handle things. Or
It's really
also, I'm the DM. If you're challenging me, cool. That means I get to up the challenge. You're moving characters around causing damage. Let me use characters that can't be moved.
mm,
Or you're causing this type of damage by moving them around. Let me use characters that are immune to that type of damage. Your entire strategy is built around this one thing that's being a thorn in my side.
I can
Let me
fix
make it to where that doesn't work.
it. I can fix it.
So yeah, no, these rules are approaching something,
Hmm.
but they're just
A
missing the
little too
mark.
aggro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, then saying anything to me about other players not liking me doing X or Y without them saying it directly to me will result in me kicking you out of the group. Don't use someone else to push your own agenda. No, just a hard no.
If it is said that someone feels uncomfortable with something that you've rolled, then you go to that person and have a discussion.
Yeah.
You do not immediately go shoot the fucking messenger. Because
Also, like this DM seems incredibly aggressive, as we have already talked about, based on all of these rules. And if there's a timid person in the party or someone who deals with anxiety or anything like that, they may not want to talk to them directly, but they may have vented to the group of like, "Oh, I really don't like how he keeps ruling this against my player. I'm playing the wizard and he keeps directly attacking me, and I've died so many times. It sucks, and I'm not having fun."
yeah,
And then a party member goes, "Hey, DM, the wizard's really not liking how much you're singling them out in combat. Can you? Oh no, you're done. Get the fuck out." What?
no, icky. That's just being a good player because that you looking out for your party.
Mhm.
That is what you're supposed to be doing because you are once again supposed to be friends playing a game. At least from my point of view, this
Yeah,
is a game. Yeah, it can get competitive. Yeah, it can be very real feeling because like we're going through the emotions that these characters are going through too if you're doing it right.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is a fiction we are creating together.
I just
I don't
yeah.
like it. Icky.
Fully agreed. The that last part too. Don't use someone else to push your own agenda. Players aren't pushing an agenda whenever they're talking to the DM about being uncomfortable with things. They're voicing concerns. And
Yeah,
if your players have concerns at your table, that's valid. Listen to them.
you should be. You
In
should.
fact, it's a general rule in life. If somebody comes to you with a concern about your behavior with something, at least
There should
listen.
be a point of
Hear
I
them
need
out.
to look back and see what I've done or what could be misconstrued as, or
Mhm. Uh, it doesn't have to mean you're definitely in the wrong, but it should mean that you should evaluate what's going on.
absolutely.
This next one, I might have deleted part of the thing. You're not to sit down and have a 2-hour discussion about what Samson from Mundura Secondary did 3 weeks ago when you came to play. Take the 15 to 20 minutes that I used to set up and review my notes to talk to each other, and then sit down to play.
It's a
Yeah,
little aggro, but it does have good points
yeah.
because
Um, we scheduled a time for us to get together and play. We had to fight to make this scheduling happen because you all have jobs.
Mhm,
We have 2 hours to play this game. Why are we spending the first hour of it talking about what we did all week?
yeah. Or to the point, if you want to have that discussion, come early
Hmm.
or stay late.
Yeah.
But there is a certain time for it could be a hard out for a player that
Mhm.
you have to get the game done because you've
Uh,
set this time. Just personally for me, D&D and roleplay games is a big release of stress typically. And when I go too long without doing the stress release, I get a little cranky. Just a little bit. And yeah, so it's kind of one of those. Eh. I agree with this one. It's very aggro.
Yeah. And I think it might be the only one that I hard agree with, but still marked yellow because I just don't like the tone.
Yeah.
Saying shit like, "Guys, come on, we're not here to have fun. We're here to play D&D, and this is serious business," is rude and dismissive of how much work I put into this. I will simply go home if I hear this.
Ew.
Little bitch.
That sounds like an exact quote from somebody, which should be a red fucking flag for you, that they're not having fun
Yeah.
in the role play game.
You are being too hard about their energy at the table. And no, fuck you. If you have to make a rule saying to stop making fun of how seriously you take the game, stop taking the game so fucking seriously.
Granted, this does stand in. I understand if like they are pushing back on the when we say we're starting rule.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's some bullshit. We agreed to start this time.
Yeah.
But but this sounds more like the entire experience rather than just like that
Yeah.
nitpicky rule of if we're starting, we're starting. Otherwise, I'm gonna
Any
call.
one of these rules, if it was a standalone thing, if somebody uploaded saying, "My DM posted this rule in our chat," with the tone exactly how they're written, I could be like, I
What
can
did
see
you
where they could
do?
have gotten to that point. But the fact that you have this massive doc with all of these rules, no, your party's right to have said this.
Yeah.
Don't fucking order food randomly. We will eat together at a specific time or not at all. I don't want food shit all over my things. I'm gonna split this one in half. First half. Don't order food randomly. We will eat together at a specific time or not at all. That sounds like a shitty dad. You're gonna have dinner with the rest of the family and you're gonna like it.
Ew.
No, we're all adults here, and I'm gonna eat when I'm hungry. And that's that.
I mean, how many times have one of us literally just decided, I have candy here. I'm gonna eat. I literally started that in the middle of this podcast.
I was eating
I have
meatballs in the first
Twizzlers.
half. Yeah, no, people need to eat. Also, this is a few of these things we haven't even addressed the way that they interact with accessibility. But there are people that need to be able to snack for health reasons,
Yeah.
or need to have a meal at a specific time because of health reasons, and that may interact with when you're playing D&D. So suck it the fuck up.
Right? Like, I get you don't want crumbs and ick on your stuff.
Mhm.
That being said, if they keep it within their own section, what the
Yeah.
fuck does it have to do with you?
And in fact, the second of this rule, I was leaving aside for the next rule. No food or drinks near any of my D&D gear. If you wreck something, you can pay for it. I let one person trash my DM screen once and never had it replaced by them. In fact, I had that person attempt to gaslight me into believing they didn't wreck my shit at all. I'm not stupid. You're an adult. Accept responsibility.
Yes, we are adults. Also, that's why we get to have food. But also, I understand that rule. Don't
Mhm.
fuck up my shit.
Yeah. Uh,
That being said,
Eat like an adult. Be careful. I do agree. If the DM had something on the table and you broke it in any circumstance, whether you're eating or not,
mhm,
you should probably try to make that right in whatever way you can. You may not be able to afford it. They specifically mentioned a damaged DM screen, and yeah, I could see that potentially being expensive based on what could
based
have
on what
happened
kind of
to it.
DM screen they have, yeah.
Yeah. So you hey, I'm really sorry. I can't afford to replace that. Is it okay if I get you one of these cheap basic ones, or can I help you with it? Or sure, totally get it. Or I straight up can't afford to fix that. I understand. An apology is fine.
An apology is fine, and thinking twice from this point on about what kind of food you bring to the table. Because, like,
Mhm.
there are certain things that you should not bring to the table, like a fucking bowl of soup. Maybe not the best thing to have around other people's papers
Mhm.
when we know we can get rowdy, right?
Yeah.
We know. We know how our we are at the table. We can get loud, we can get rambunctious. It's gonna happen. So that soup bowl of soup might get
Yeah.
not the best. Um, a thing of fucking crackers, that's easy to clean up.
Totally. Yeah. I don't really have anything to add to that because that's mostly fair. The tone kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Arguments between party members outside of roleplay will be resolved by me giving the definite ruling. If you don't like it, fuck off back home. Hard rule: the DM has no say of anything that happens out of the game. End. That's it.
Ew. Like, I get wanting the session to run smoothly. I get wanting things to be okay. You cannot force that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And saying that you have final say. The fuck? You ain't my daddy. I don't even
Yeah.
listen to my daddy that well. Fuck you.
I, I don't. I don't have anything else to add. That's just a bad rule.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what they did on Critical Role or what that one guy on Reddit said, or if you think it's all make believe, so you can do whatever you want. The world I run works on internal rulings and lore that I created specifically for it. This kind of rolls back up to the I don't care what X and Y group did with whatever ruling, but I think it's more lore specific,
Yeah.
and I do vibe with that. I think both of us, being DMs that homebrew our own worlds and stories, absolutely get the like. No, that doesn't work because my
That
world
doesn't
does
work
not have
here. That's not how magic works in this world.
exactly.
Like, specifically, I could think of the undead ruling
Mhm.
I made, where it's the body imbued with magic rather than
Yeah,
actually having a soul.
which I also generally rule. Um, because I think the idea of necromancy being inherently evil while enchantment is not is stupid.
Bullshit.
But anyway, that said, I also think that you and the DM do take some of the responsibility in making their ideas work. So,
Mhm.
as an example, I have a really very detailed document on the deities of my world. And if I've got a player that decides they want to play a cleric to Thor, I, as a DM, ruling in my world would say, you can't do that. I would not end the conversation there. I would not go,
And whoever
Thor doesn't exist in my
this
world.
guy.
We're done. I would provide them with that doc and be like, okay, well, what aspect of Thor are you interested in? Because I've got these three gods that kind of overlap with Thor in specific ways. So if you'd like to have an embodiment of any one of these three, or actually because they're all good with each other, I'd even let you be willing to play, or if you're willing, I'd even let you play a cleric to all three of them and have like a really cool interaction thing there. We can do RP stuff with it. It's
Yeah.
on you as the DM to provide them the opportunities to make what they want to do work with your world.
Yeah. An example I have specifically in my head is when Tony was making his character for my campaign.
Mhm.
Um, he wanted a younger guy but had seen combat and stuff like that. And I was like, well, there's no active wars going on right now. That being said, there is the wild zone where you could have seen combat with more beasts and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so that was just the slight tweak between you. Yeah, you don't like this northern country because you guys, the two countries don't like each other very much. However, they're not in active war right now,
Mhm.
so you're gonna have to go somewhere else to get that battle experience. Here's where you can do that.
Exactly. Um, So yeah, that one it's approaching something useful there. Every single person in this chat is having debuffs applied to their characters that should have occurred a long time ago. This will be specific to characters. No.
No. Like,
One, I don't really like the idea of giving a character a permanent debuff anyway. It can be
situational for sure because they've done something stupid.
right.
Absolutely.
And that is a personal thing. I fully understand there are tables that are totally into that. There are
Mhm.
tables that like they roll on the long-term damage chart and will lose a limb and therefore take disadvantage on all of their attacks going forward. And that's what gets them hard in this game. Great.
Great for you, not for me.
Yeah. I want to have
Because-
fun and feel like a hero. So
Yeah,
I want to be heroic.
yeah. And imposing debuffs, especially seeing as the rest of this document sounds like it's very much against the player's will,
Mhm.
just doesn't vibe
Yeah.
well at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's another one. There's just not a lot that needs to be said on it. It's just a bad rule.
It really is. That seems to be like half of this document.
If you don't bring your sheet, you don't play. That is a stupid rule. There can be more said on this one though, because one, did they not bring their paper sheet? Do they have one on D&D Beyond? All right, cool. Pull it up.
Mhm.
Uh,
or
or
or if it's more of a I forgot it this time, I'm really, really, really interested in playing. I know most of my stats.
Mhm,
And we can kind of like discuss and back and forth on the other ones, and whatever
mhm,
you say is final, but also I still want to play. It's been
mhm.
forever since we've been together. Please let me play.
And also, if this is such a consistent thing at your table that you need to make a rule about it, you, the DM, can have the character sheets. Either have them give you their sheets at the end of every session, which I know some DMs to do,
Mhm.
or just keep copies of the character sheets. And if you really want to be a jerk about it and be a stickler, keep copies of the character sheets that they have to like pay you back in some way for. Or they take a penalty to use. Like if you want to be an ass about it, there's still a better way to be an ass about this.
Even if it's just to make sure you get it back at the end of the session. So if I'm giving you this, you give me that die that I know you fucking love for the
Mhm.
session. It's mine now until the end of the game.
Um, which I bring that opinion back for a couple of the upcoming rules as well. Of the DM should just have a copy of everybody's character sheet or should be able to look at it.
Mhm.
Because this DM has several issues that can all be fixed by you as the
Just
DM should just
DM.
have those.
Mhm.
Um Next is the only one that I genuinely didn't know how to color code because it could go a couple of different ways. So it's pink. If you don't bring dice, borrow some. First of all, what does
This
that
is
rule
fine.
mean? Because like that's unstated. If I show up to a D&D session and I don't have dice, every single person in that room will go, I've got some spare dice. Do you want to borrow mine?
Uh-huh. I mean, I literally this is just my go bag of dice. It's very big. It's very big and it has a lot of dice in it. It's heavy.
I've got a set of drawers next to my D&D cabinet with individually sorted dice sets, and I've told people to just take an entire drawer out if they need to borrow dice. However, what I think is being said here is no digital dice. And although I have strong feelings on that, and I fully disagree with that as a rule, I do understand why people have such hard stances on it. And though I disagree with it, I would have no problem with that as a rule existing in this doc. But that's not what's being said, and that's
That's
why
not
it
what's
makes me
being
feel
said.
really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. No, that's chunk dice. I'm now playing with my dice. You've started a thing.
When we play D&D, I'm not your friend. That doesn't mean you treat me like an enemy during the game. It means I'm no longer being nice, which summarizes as I'm going to be a dick to you, and you
But you
just need to
can't be
shut the
mad.
fuck up and take it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, fucking, no. This is more DM versus player shit.
Icky. No, that's again, I call back to the point of we're supposed to be friends playing a game together. Yeah, at the time, the DM is technically the one crafting the world and crafting the challenges, but they're still supposed to be there for you to have fun and for them to have fun. And everyone's supposed to be having fun here.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just pain. Sharp.
Yeah. I mean, that's really all there is on that one.
Yeah. No.
It's more player versus DM antagonistic bullshit, and I'm not here for it.
No.
If you treat me poorly in any way, shape, or form after or during or before the game due to something that happened in the game, you're out. If you cannot separate a game from reality, I think you're a fucking moron. And I have little time to deal with that energy.
So you good?
Wow.
Like, how many hugs did mommy not give you?
First of all, being upset about something that happened in the game is not an inability to separate the game from reality.
Yeah.
Second of all, everything you've said in this doc makes me think that you're an asshole, and that might upset people, so they might confront you about you being an asshole.
It might not be about what's happening in the game. That was just maybe the final fucking straw.
This next one though, I vibe with it a little. You will submit your spell list daily in game. If you do not give me a spell list each in game day, you will not be allowed to cast a single spell or cantrip in combat. I do not trust you guys to not use this against me. To cover myself, I vibe with it in the sense that there are classes that prepare their spells daily, and I, as a DM, can see where it might be useful to have them give you those lists.
Yeah.
However, not every spellcaster does that, and I wouldn't even say most.
No, the only ones I can think of are druid and cleric that get to change
And
daily.
wizard,
And
kind of.
kind of not the way I rule it, but yeah, kind of.
Like rules is written, a wizard does choose specific spells to have access to today. And we've talked about personally, and we can even talk about here. You think they've got a spell book, they should have access to it all day. I think if they're using their spell book as an arcane focus, they should be able to use anything in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, it should be the prepared list. Be outside of that, though, yeah, everybody else just knows their spells. So it's the same spells always. If you're really that concerned, have their character sheet on hand and look at it.
Yeah.
The next one also goes into that, but actually, oh, sorry, I got distracted. You'll not be allowed to cast a single spell. If you don't trust their prepared spell list for whatever reason,
because their cantrips don't change.
Exactly. Why are you punishing their cantrips? Also, if they have a preparable spell list and cantrips, and they're relying on them heavily, odds are they're a spell caster. So if you take away all of their spells and all of their cantrips, they are useless.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken away their character.
You've left it to where they cannot fight, interact, and anything with the innate point of their character, which is their magic.
Yeah. So no, that's gross and awful. The next one, if you do not mark off spell slots or say something like, I remember what I'm at as a way to justify it, I will simply fail your spell and deal half your health and damage to you and say you have no spells to cast for the rest of the day. So looping back again, if you, the GM, are so concerned about that, keep a copy of their character sheets. 9 times out of 10, a player casting a spell they don't have a level for is an accident, and they missed something. Mm-hmm. And if you, the GM, go, oh, actually, you don't have any more third level spell slots, you can't cast that at that level, they're going to go, oh, that's my bad. Never mind. Let me do something else. And then that's the whole fucking thing.
Ta-da! It it once again reels back on this guy has so much contempt for his players.
Yeah.
And it's so nasty because like I can only think of one, his mental health in this, and two, the player's mental health in this, where they are actively letting this guy do this to them. Like, it can't be good for any of the parties involved.
Yeah. So it is just ridiculous. But like, it's also one of those things where what he's wanting to accomplish can be done without a stupid rule like this.
Mm,
He doesn't have to make it everybody else's problem for him to want to be able to to like track and double check your spell list and spell slots. He can just
do it
do
himself.
that. If you break literally anything, you can buy the replacement that day or not attend until you do. This goes all the way back into those food rules.
Yeah,
And yes, I agree that if you break somebody else's stuff, you should be responsible for trying to replace it
absolutely.
and feeling bad about that.
That being
However,
said,
not
there
everybody can
are
afford that.
there
Not
are some
everybody can afford that right away.
fucking things in
Yeah.
D&D.
And banning you from a table until you give me something of monetary value? No, that's not what this is. That's not cool.
No, icky. Like,
Uh,
legitimate. I have a set of dice in here that is worth $150 because they're obsidian and
mhm.
they're fucking gorgeous. I would not, if I loan them out, which I've done before, and you lose a die, I'm not expecting you to immediately replace the set.
Mhm.
We will discuss how you can repay that later because, yes, I put a lot of time and effort into getting those because that's almost, that was at the time about all of my extra money for the week
Yeah.
because I was paid weekly. Um, And so, yeah, no, that would be definitely. I need something back, whether it be an apology and a promise to at some point later. Maybe we can discuss repayment or something like that. But I'm not going to hold it over your head. Accidents fucking happen.
Yeah. I do think the one singular exception to this is if instead of playing at somebody's private house, you're playing within a business
Mhm.
and you damage something related to that business. Absolutely, they have the right to ask you to not come back for either a specific duration or until you pay them back or ever.
Yeah,
And in that situation, yeah, they're a business. They have that right
they
to
have.
do that.
They also have that bottom line because when they're running a business, they are also having to make sure that they're being able to pay their
Mhm.
employees and da da da. Da. And if you are costing them this money, then you are officially labeled a liability,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Uh, these next two I'm going to read together. Rule 43. If you complain about the choice of music, sorry, no, this is 42. Next was 43. If you complain about the choice of music, I fully expect you to bring the whole playlist to the next session or shut the fuck up. First of all, if you, the DM, are providing music and a playlist, you are the one setting the vibe.
Mhm.
And if the vibe isn't matching what they're wanting, then
Change the
change
vibe.
it. Them complaining is not a judgment on you and how awful your taste is. It's them going, oh, this didn't mesh, so I didn't have like the right energy.
Mhm.
Also, I, as a DM, almost never control the music because that's a lot of energy. And yeah, I don't want to have to think about maintaining it. So we use our Roku TV in the living room. I'll pass the remote to someone and say, hey, can you run the music tonight?
Uh-huh.
Done.
I mean,
On
like,
R4R,
literally
how do we
this.
handle music?
Huh?
On R4R, how do we handle the music?
Me or Tony, one of the two.
Yeah.
In fact, right now, the music coming through audio is my Kenku bot, Atmosphere. Just playing one of my DMCA free lo-fi playlists because I have multiple.
And behind the scenes stuff, I don't have control over it. This is what
Nope,
I'm doing.
I
So
have it. It's
I'm
mine.
running one thing and I'm letting or asking the other person to run the other thing. It's not hard to offload this stuff.
It's
Don't be a
really
dick
not.
about it. Now it's 43 and 44. I cannot stress enough how little I care about how you feel about my rulings from now on. Oh, and rule 44, I'm never just threatening you, I'm promising you.
Ew. That's actively threatening. That's
It
actively.
This just like puts a period on the energy that has been here the whole time of why are you DMing for this group or at all? Like
Hmm.
if this is how you feel about it and you are to this point,
Why are you at the table?
just leave.
Yeah,
Clearly you're not having fun. So why are you still there?
it's icky. It's
Um
very icky.
yeah, that's really all I've got for that.
It. I guess this is the point in the thing where I have like a PSA of if you are in a situation at a table where you or another player or even the DM is giving you this kind of vibe, talk to the others.
Mhm.
See if they are also getting that vibe. And if they aren't, maybe it's a discussion you need to have with that person. If they are, that is a discussion that your table needs to have about whether or not that player, that person, that any of it should be playing with you.
Yeah.
It is not good for you or them to be in a situation where it's this high level of toxicity when you're supposed to be, once again, I say, playing a game with friends and having fun.
Yeah. No, I mean exactly. To the It is a game, and that's the most important part. Like we are here to enjoy our time. We're here to de-stress. We're here to address things. Like it shouldn't have to feel like work.
Yeah.
This the energy of this entire document is someone who is so fed up with the people they're spending time with, and also that the rest of the people are enjoying each other, but also not you. So it
Uh huh.
seems like this isn't working on either side.
Hmm.
Walk away. Let their table exist in the way that it is. Let them find a new DM or appoint one within the group. Maybe you switch roles and be a player instead of a DM.
Right?
Like it just it
Find
isn't
somewhere
working.
else to
Stop
be.
forcing it.
Yeah. I was looking for another one of my playlists and I'm not finding it, and I'm very sad.
But that is all that we have, and we are actually right at the end of our time.
Ooh, look at us.
So, I'm going to bring us here to the end. We've got our weekly schedule here. Wednesday nights, make sure to catch up on the newest episodes of Wednesday Night Revival. That said, this coming one, um, we're not playing, right? I believe we're doing a pre-recorded thing. No, that's
No,
next.
no, no,
That's
no.
the
That's
following
that's
one.
yeah.
That's following. Don't listen to me. We might be playing this week. Then Thursdays, we've got Thirsty Gay Thursday, where
Probably.
we might be playing this week.
Who knows?
But we are getting back into and have been running a fresh start of Baldur's Gate 3. We are now like level 5 or 6. We're catching up
We're
to
getting up
stuff.
there. Yeah.
Saturdays, one shot Wonderarium. There's great, excellent new one shots every other week with really cool guest appearances. Absolutely, you should show up and be there for that. And then we're getting back into Sunday morning spawn camps.
Woo!
You can find our content at the QR You can also find our merch there. So thank you for hanging out. We'll see you next time.
Bye.